Hi, I'm John Leasure from the Florence Regional Arts Alliance at 120 Maple Street in beautiful downtown Florence. Today we're going to paint a beautiful picture for you called Lake Sunset, and I will go step by step with you into painting this picture. It doesn't require any prior knowledge or experience in painting, just a smile on your face and having a good time. So let me start out by explaining some of the things that you should have in your supply kit. So one of those things should be a larger brush, like 1.5 inches wide, so that we can do some larger areas of the sky and water. Secondly, you should have a fan brush, so we can do some distant small trees. And then also a little straight brush for tree trunks and things of that various nature. Also, we should have with us to be able to clean up a little bit is a little water. And that will help you to wash your brush because these are water soluble paints. And be sure to have a few paper towels on hand. And then there's a couple of curious items that we have also in this class is these little plastic chips, and you're going, well, what are we going to use those for? Well, I'll show you. And it's really kind of interesting how we're going to work that with making some of the trees. And then finally, a piece of tin foil. And you might think, are we going to bake or paint a picture? Well, we're going to paint a picture. So I'll explain how we're going to work with all these products in this picture. Really simple, a lot of fun to do. So let's just get started. We'll go step by step. We'll take a break in between each session. Okay, so to get started, let's start out with some yellow. So what I have is I have a paper plate with the bright yellow. It's the brightest of the two yellows that are in your supply. And then I'm going to use a fan brush to apply in the center of this painting some yellow. So we'll take that fan brush and just go right across the center with this nice bright yellow. And you don't have to put it on very thick. Just kind of spread it out there and just back and forth across the whole center section. And that easy, we've begun the painting. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and put that brush down. In fact, you can just set it into your water. And I'm going to pick up this next brush, which is the larger 1.5 inch brush. And then I'm going to switch over to a paper plate with the two blue colors in it. So we have a cerulean blue, which is the lighter one. And then we have a darker one, which is the ultramarine. So I'm going to go ahead and put my brush into the lighter of the blue and then some of the darker blue. And then with that, I'm going to take it right up to the top and go back and forth across the top, covering the top section, you know, as it would be when the sun goes down and the stars begin to appear. So we have a brighter blue area across the top. So go ahead and just cover that all up at the very top. And then while I'm still working with the same paints, some of the lighter blue, some of the darker blue, I'll do the very same thing at the bottom. Like that. So whatever's happening on the top will be happening on the bottom. Okay, back and forth. Okay, great. That will complete that part. And we'll take a quick break so you can catch up and we'll come right back. Okay, welcome back to the second step of this beautiful lake sunset painting. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our larger brush after we have cleaned out all the blue, and we're going to get 4 new colors. So I have my paper plate with white, a warm yellow, which is the darker of the two yellows, orange, and some red. Now what I'll do is I'll take my larger brush and I'll go right into the yellow, and right where I left off of the yellow, below it and above it, I'm going to put in that warmer yellow, just right straight across. Okay, so just right straight across. I put a little bit above that center section. So here we had this center section that we began first. It was in the bright yellow, and we're going to leave that alone, and we're going to surround it above and below with the warmer yellow. And what's nice about this part is we don't need to wash any brushes. So what I'll do with the brush still loaded with the yellow, I'll go right into the orange. Okay. And right where I left off on that warm yellow, I'm going to put in some beautiful orange. And just right where they meet, we can just kind of let them come together. So same thing, whatever I'm doing above, I want to also do below. So where this yellow left off, I also want to give that some orange as well. There we go. And then finally, after we are done with the orange, you can see we still have a little bit of space left. Let's go right into the red. Right into the red without doing any cleaning of the brushes whatsoever. Go right into that red and let that come on up and meet with the blue at the top. There we go. So we're putting a lot of fire into this sky here. Make a beautiful, beautiful picture. So whatever happening above should be happening down below as well. So let's go ahead and put in some of that nice red right where the orange left off. Just kind of scrub that back and forth. And right where the red and the blue is meeting, I'll put a little extra red right there. And that'll mix real nicely with that blue and help to prevent us from having really any greens in our picture. There we go. So take some of that red right up here to the sky. Okay. So just kind of back and forth. And then we'll break right there, and we'll come back and we'll start to finish the last part of the sky. Okay, welcome back. So now what we're going to do to finish off this sky is we can now add a few little clouds and movements to your liking. So what I'm going to do, I still have that red that was in my brush from the last step, and so I'm going to concentrate that again with a little more of the red. And then I'm actually going to take and touch into a little bit of that darker blue, just slightly. Just slightly. So I have red in my brush with a little touch of the blue. So it's mostly red with a little touch of blue. Now I can come on up and create some movements that would depict like maybe some clouds, fiery clouds in our sunset. And so what I'm trying to do is actually make it so that they are above most of the yellow, because I don't want to get too much of the blue trying to mix with that yellow. So whatever I'm doing up above, I'm trying to do down below. So I have mostly red and a little bit of that blue to make a few small movements of sun clouds. The sun is shining on them as it's going down, and that would look really nice. Okay, and then finally, one more item that we can do to complete this picture for the sky, and that would be to have a little bit of white and use my finger and touch right into that white, putting a little bit of white right on my finger. And right in the center where we had that original yellow, we can locate the sun. and make a nice little circle like that. And there we have the sun. Okay, so we've got the sky all done. We have the sun in place. We have a few clouds and a nice fiery sunset. So we'll stop there and we'll come back and we'll start to work on a little bit of a trees, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Hi, welcome back. So now we're going to go on to the next step of this painting, which is to complete some of the farthest sides of the lake. So what we'll need for that is this one fan brush. And let me show you the colors that we're going to use for this next step. So what I have is I have that paper plate that had that bright yellow. And what I did was I added a little bit of that dark blue onto that paper plate. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that fan brush and take a little of that blue and let it mix with a little of this yellow. It makes this beautiful little green color. And because it's farther away, we want it to be a lighter color. So here we are. We have the sun. So right below the sun, I'm going to just straight in. I'm going to tap my brush straight in. And then some places can be a little higher. And go right below the sun, just as the sun is starting to go down on the distant hills. And I'm going to take that right across, and it can get a little bit bigger as we go. So I have the blue and the yellow to make this beautiful green. And I'm going to go right across, continue to go right across the picture to the other side there on the end. Now, if you'd like to go across that other way, you sure can. We can just stop at a certain distance there. Okay. And now I can take that brush with a little of that same paint, and if I'd like to, I can pull it up in little tiny short strokes, and I can make those little, like little pine trees far away. These little trees. And I can even pull down on the other end. So whatever's happening up above is reflecting down below. There we go. All the way across. You want to put a little bit of that reflection in. Just a little up above and a little down below. What's ever happening up above should be happening down below. There we go. Take that across as you see fit. Okay. Now here's where we're going to do one other interesting thing. So we'll put this brush into the water for now. And so now we're going to take a straight brush. And I have another paper plate with some black. Now, you don't have to necessarily make this straight because this is a tree and trees are not straight. So up here on this one side, I'm going to bring a nice black tree trunk all the way down past the painting that we just did, right into this area right here. Just like that. Doesn't require any special skills. It doesn't even have to finish off. And I'll show you how we'll do that on the very next step, so stay tuned. So now what we're going to do is take one of those little plastic chips. And as I said, it doesn't take any special skills to learn how to make a tree or any of that nature. Once we have our tree trunk put in, all we have to do now is we can take this chip, and we have two edges. We have the short edge and we have the long edge. And so what we can do is take that chip and just tap it. Just tap it into the paint like that. Just like you were trying to chop that paint in half. So you just chop it. Okay, and then right off that tree trunk, we can make a branch. See, so what I do is I just continue to tap my brush, or not my brush, but this piece of plastic into the paint, and create some nice limbs for that tree. And don't worry if they're not finished off. Sometimes they hit and miss, because when we put the leaves on this, you won't even worry about that, what'll show and what won't show. Okay, so we just continue on to make a few branches on this beautiful tree, like that. Make some on the other side. And so just continue to take this little piece of plastic and tap into the paint like that. So you just tap right into the paint, like as if you were chopping. And then you could branch off of the tree a few limbs. Now, if you'd like to, you can take the other end. If you just turn it, you can take the other end, which is a little shorter, and then you can branch off of those branches a few limbs. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. All we have to have is just a few showing, and we don't know, some may show and some may not once we get done with all the leaves. Okay. There we go. Just a few, as many as you want. And as I said, a lot of these will be covered, so it's not that important if they're perfect. Okay, and then one more thing we can do is that we have this area where we had the other side of the lake. We can take that same chip, and I added a little white to my paper plate. And I could take that and tap into that with my plastic, right into the white. And then right here, I can divide the reflection on that lake. See, so it doesn't require any special brushes to work with. It's just automatic with just the most average little pieces that you may have hanging around your house. Okay, with that, we'll move on to one of the final steps when we come back. So just get her going, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back. So now we're going to get into another step in finalizing this painting. So what we're going to do is take our larger brush, and preferably if it's dry, it's not full of water or anything like that. And so I still have that paper plate with the black. And what I also added onto that plate was some of that yellow. And so what I would do is take this brush and go right into the black, and then maybe touch into some of that yellow. And that makes a kind of a green, but yet we're still pretty dark. And so down below, as we come off of that tree, we can just really tap in really hard with that brush and start to make some ground. Start to make some ground underneath this tree. And it kind of could taper off down about right into there. There. And as you push into it, we can fill it in solid. If you need to just brush back and forth, whatever works for you, we'll just tap right into there. Real therapeutic, real easy, just like banging on a drum. Just tap into that. There we go. Just like that. So see how I filled in the lower section below that tree using black and some yellow, because every now and then you'll have a few yellow spots which will look really nice, like a little sunlight hitting on the foliage there down below. So that'll look really nice. Okay, and then we're going to come back, and I have one more thing to show you for the finishing of the tree. Okay, we're back. So now we're going to have a lot of fun doing the leaves on the tree. And now we're going to show you what this tinfoil is for. So what I do with the tinfoil is I roll it up, I crumple it up into a little loose ball. And then on the back side, I kind of pinch it so I have something to hold on to, like that. And so what this does is it creates all these little irregular shapes, so that when I'm putting the paint on the tree, it looks more natural as far as leaves are going. So what I do is I'll take, I loaded up the plate again with some more black, and I have that little piece of tin foil, and I still have some of that yellow there. That's just fine. And I'm going to just kind of tap my ball of tin foil right into that black paint. So I have all this black paint right on the end of that ball of tin foil. And what's nice about it is that when you're painting, you can twist it and turn it to all the different edges. That's going to give you different formations, which is really nice. So watch. So up here where we had some of the limbs that maybe we don't care about, or we made mistakes, or maybe some of it's broken, when we go to touch the canvas, see that it all comes off, and we can hide some of those spots, and all the shapes look more natural than we could actually get with a brush. So we just kind of tap, you twist, and you turn. So go right into your paint, just dip it right into the paint, come on up and twist and turn and touch the canvas. Now you could almost have done this with a paper towel, but the problem is that the paper towel, when it gets wet with the paint, might disintegrate. So it's better to actually use tin foil, because we know it's going to stay stable for us as we do this. And so I just continue on. You might get some blobs of paint. That's okay. Just touch into them and move them around and take them somewhere else. That, just use it as a little pile of paint that you can pull off of. And now, try not to destroy all your beautiful sunset. Go ahead and just add those little leaves everywhere, and see how you get nice little small ones and then little bigger ones. And it just looks so much more natural than you could actually do with a brush. Just continue on all over the tree until, of your liking, until you have just the right amount. This will all flatten out when it dries. There. Really fun, really nice, really simple. And just take a few more up in here maybe. Nice silhouette against that sunset. There. Okay. Maybe a little more on this side to balance it out. Okay. And there's so many things that you can do to complete this painting. So going back to those plastic chips, you could actually make anything you want to do. For example, maybe we're down at the lake and it has a fence post to keep you from falling in the lake. So you could take those chips, you could tap right into that black, and then you could come up to your painting and you could make a couple of really nice fence posts. See, like that, to keep you in. And see, I'll go back through and tap again, and then cut a railing right across those fence posts. That's simple, real easy, lots of fun. You don't have to worry about being a top-notch artist. There we go. And then we could also take that chip, and using one of the smaller ends, I could grab a little bit of this yellow and black, and if you wanted to, you could make a little path. So you could grab that end and just back and forth, just like you're buttering your toast in the morning. And you could create a nice pathway going through there. Maybe we're walking along this pathway and we're going to go right by this tree and overlook this beautiful sunset. Possibilities are endless. You could have so many beautiful little flowers. You have red, you have greens and yellows, and you could create all kinds of beautiful little flowers along the pathway there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and be sure to check us out at the Florence Regional Arts Alliance. I'm John Leasure. Until the next time, take care.